This is the library conference event sound system rack. That's the front of the rack. The coils are kept in the back. Coils are all wound up. So pull the rack near the wall connectors. Here's the speaker connectors. The speaker system is currently 3 separate zones. The east-west ceiling speakers, the south speakers, which are the two facing the librarian and the reference center, and the center ceiling speakers. Here I'll show you the east-west speakers. Of the ceiling speakers, the east-west speakers are the ones in the library that are on the west side of the ceiling, and the ones are on the east side of the ceiling. This zone, the center zone, is also the library ceiling. They are the speakers right down the middle, the center of the library. This was done to avoid feedback, being that the conference microphones will be right below them. Microphones will be right below them. I'll show you the south speakers. The south speakers are 2 speakers. One of them faces the desk, and the other one faces the reference books area. The cables that go into these speaker connectors are here at the back of the amplifier, and they are also color coded. You'll see this orange one is labeled center. This yellow one is labeled south. And here the blue one is labeled east and west. These speak-on type speaker connectors start in at an angle, and you turn them to the right till they click. Once again, make sure the labeling matches so we don't cross-connect the zones. If you need to take them out, this pulls back with your thumb. That releases it. The best way to lay out a snake is to hold the whole coil and feed yourself as you walk backwards. It's also important to wind it neatly. That way it'll be easier to uncoil as you lay it out. Here we have the microphone and a microphone cable. So the microphone connects to the system with the cable, microphone to cable to the stage box. The other end of the cable will match the numbers. So that microphone's connected to channel 1 of our system, and then we continue just matching the microphone numbers to the stage box of the snake. Now we have to be clear of which microphone is plugged into which channel so that the sound engineer at the controller can adjust accordingly, knowing who's using what microphone. In addition to the tabletop microphones, the system has 2 wireless receivers that give us the ability to use the wireless microphones. This one is labeled, you probably can't see it on this cheesy video, but this says wireless 1 and wireless 2. And turning the system on, all we need to turn the system on is this switch up in the upper right corner. This says power with a little arrow pointing to the switch. Just flipping this rocker switch up starts the sequencer. The system doesn't start instantaneously, especially since I didn't plug it in yet. Back to the back of the rack where the power cable is. I'll have to give this thing some electricity. So let's power it up. We have power. Now I'll come to the front and hit the rocker switch. The input devices will power up first. The mixer, which is a DSP, and then the amplifier will power up. Amplifiers always power up last. That's why we have sequencers. So moving on to the user interface. The buttons on the left there, now it's fully powered up. It takes a while to boot up, but the buttons on the left are labeled like this. This one says mics 1 through 4. This one says mics 5 through 8. This one says CD and lap, short for laptop. And here's another button where we can turn off any one of the 3 zones if we're not using them. So mics 1 through 4, that is microphones 1 through 4 of the stage box. 1, 2, 3, and 4. To adjust the volume of one of those mics 1 through 4, I press this selector button next to the window that says mics 1 through 4. And these windows on the right, this one says mic 1, mic 2, mic 3, and one says mic 4. If microphone 1 needs volume adjustment, I push that selector button, and this is now the volume control for mic 1. To the right is louder, to the left is lowering it to be quieter. I can also mute the channel. If I push it and this light turns red, it is muted and no sound will come out. When I'm ready to do sound for that channel again, I push it again and it's active. The little volume level indicator light, which is green, will light up as soon as you start adjusting the knob. So to adjust microphone 2, I push that microphone 2 selector button, and this becomes the volume control for microphone 2. That one would be for 3 and 4 and so forth. So to adjust a microphone that is 5, 6, 7, or 8, I can select this yellow one, and now I have ready to control mic 5, mic 6, mic 7, and mic 8. Here we are again at the other end of the snake. 5, 6, 7, 8. Currently we don't have microphones plugged in yet. For this demonstration I just plugged in microphone 1. However, before a meeting, have everything plugged in. Have all your microphones plugged in that you're going to use for the meeting before you turn the system on. That'll avoid loud popping noises through the speakers. Back to our user interface. This input says CD and lap. I push it, and here's our inputs. It says, this one says wireless 1. There's wireless 1. This input says wireless 2. This says CD/iPod. Now that is is referring to this unit right here. It's a CD player with its transports, play, pause, stop, search and advance, open and close. And the unit is also an iPod dock. I have to squeeze this little orange button to pull it out all the way. And here we have an iPod connector, and here we have the newer iPhone connectors. Remember that to push it back in, you have to squeeze the little red button. Don't just try and force it in. You have to release it first. So it does CD, it's a docking station, and an auxiliary in for the mini headphone type connectors. You can plug in any device that has the little mini plug, the mini headphone style plug. This input, the third one down when we're on this group, wireless 1, wireless 2, CD/iPod, and to go between the three possible sources, you hold Shift and source select. You scroll through source select and it'll display which source select. It won't display anything if there's nothing available. It's just saying no disk. But it will sense when there is either a device docked in it or an auxiliary, and you'll see those selections when you scroll through it, holding source, holding Shift, and scrolling through the source select. And when using a handheld mic, they turn on by holding down the on button for a couple of seconds, and this will turn green. A quick press, it's on standby, which is an orange LED, and then a quick press again turns it back green. That comes in handy because the microphone actually takes a couple of seconds to boot up. Holding it down for 2 seconds again will shut it off. And remember to be sure that there's fresh batteries. Of these 4 selections, wireless 1, wireless 2, CD/iPod, the last in that group says laptop. And that input is referring to this mini headphone style plug right here in the drawer. So you would plug that into a laptop. You can also plug this into a phone or an iPod or an iPad, anything that will put out a stereo in the style of the mini headphone plug. Now remember, if your phone has an otter case or any kind of case, it may keep the plug from going all the way in. So be sure that this plug is all the way in. You may have to remove the case of some phones to be sure that the phone plug is all the way in. So to go over it, these 3 buttons are inputs. Our first 4 inputs, our next 4 inputs, and then the last 4 inputs. This button, the window is labeled Zone Mutes. So it controls our 3 speaker zones. If I press this button, this is our speaker systems. The first speaker system is the east and west. On the wall it's the upper left one. This one says center. There's our center. This one says south. And there's the south. Those 2 hanging speakers. Again, with the wireless microphone, you hold it down for a couple of seconds, it turns green. Quick tap, it's on standby. Quick tap again, it's green again. holding it down for a couple of seconds, and it turns off. What I wanted to show you is the batteries. Untwisting this handle, 2 AA's inserted right here. Make sure you have fresh batteries before your event. And in putting the cap back on, do not over twist. Just snug enough so it'll stay on. If you over twist, it can fracture.